Civic and Economic Development Revenue Bond Financing.
Yeah, so you'll open up the public hearing, and then we'll do the resolution afterwards. And I'll have Tom explain the resolution, but the first thing you do is open up the public hearing for all of our great citizens here to
It's a small
participate.
public.
It is a small public. But you'll open it up, ask for anybody who wants to speak on behalf of or against, and then after everyone speaks, we close the public hearing portion, and then we'll
Who is our public?
This is broadcast, so.
yeah.
This is
the
who?
public?
Who is our public?
Oh,
So, Thomas is, and I don't know how many people Randy's told, but Randy is retiring at the end of this year. And Thomas will be replacing Randy as our legal counsel.
Randy Rampola?
Yes.
Okay, so you're taking his place. Okay,
Yeah.
Welcome.
yes,
So
welcome.
you're gonna see more of Thomas in this
Okay.
year and in the future. Okay.
Randy's a fixture.
He is, yeah, he's been, for the 20 years I've been doing this, he's been right alongside me, so.
I can say longer than that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, because he was dealing with school bond stuff when I first got
Yes,
on
he's
that.
been, yeah.
92.
Used them and what used to be Umball at the time, which then turned into Baker Tilly. So yeah, we pretty much use the same bond counsel and.
Yeah.
All right, what I understand is we've opened it up to the public. Given there's no public, and I doubt anybody's called in yet, we can move on to the next phase of this.
Yeah, so you open up the public hearing, specifically ask
Are
if
there any
anybody wants.
comments, pro or con?
Hearing none, you can close the public.
Close it to the public?
Yeah.
Then I think we go on to the resolution, correct? How do I
Correct.
recall what you said?
Yes, just a few. So the first resolution, 2025-0301, Thomas will go over the structure of the resolution, but it was presented to the council at its previous council meeting, and prior to that, I received permission from the redevelopment commission to submit an application to the state for what they call their residential infrastructure fund. We were granted a little over $1 million, $1,055,000. 30,000 of that is for the issuance, can go towards the issuance of the bond. 1,025,000 will go towards the project. The purpose of that residential infrastructure loan was to target residential growth. In this case, it will be 41 lots, the next phase of the Bella Augusta subdivision. So the redevelopment commission approved the application. We were awarded. Council reviewed their bond ordinance at their last council meeting on first reading, approved it. On the second reading will go April 7th. And Thomas can go over the resolution, and then I'll answer any, Thomas or myself can answer any questions you might have.
Good afternoon. Tom Everett with Barnes & Thornburg in South Bend. And we are serving as bond counsel for the two economic development revenue bond issues being undertaken by the city. And so as Jeremy mentioned, this resolution and this financing is a result of the city being granted a residential infrastructure fund loan from the Indiana Finance Authority. And so the city would issue economic development revenue bonds to evidence that loan. And then the bonds themselves would be purchased by the Indiana Finance Authority. The role of the Economic Development Commission with respect to both of these financings is to make a favorable recommendation to the Common Council that they proceed with the issuance of these bonds to finance these projects. So these bonds for the Residential Infrastructure Fund loan would be payable from tax increment revenues generated from the North Residential Economic Development Area, which was established in 2019. This project for the Bella Augusta subdivision expansion is located in the North Residential Economic Development Area. And
I'm sorry.
as Jeremy mentioned, the loan is for $1,055,000. The bonds would be in that amount at an interest rate not exceeding 4% with a maximum term of no more than 20 years. Once the bonds are issued, the city would provide a portion of the bond proceeds to the Biggs Group, which is the entity that is installing the infrastructure to support the expansion of the Bella Augusta subdivision. And again, these bonds would be payable solely from TIF revenues from the North Residential TIF area, and no other funds or taxing authority of the city would be pledged towards these bonds. The resolution itself, the whereas clauses give an overview of the project like I just gave. Section 1 states that the economic development of the city is an appropriate and desirable public purpose of the city. Section 2 approves a report of the Economic Development Commission, which I'll discuss in just a minute. Section 3 makes certain findings, including finding that the project will benefit the health and welfare of the city and will provide additional housing options in the city and will increase the property tax base of the city. Section 4 of the resolution approves the issuance of the bonds to finance the infrastructure project. And Section 5 approves the form of various financing agreements and a trust indenture that will be executed in connection with issuing the bonds. And then the remaining sections of the resolution find that the project will not have an adverse competitive effect on similar developments in the city, and also authorizes the Economic Development Commission to execute any closing documents necessary with the bond closing. And then the Economic Development Report, which I mentioned, again, describes the project. In Section B states that no additional public works will be needed by the project which aren't already planned for or don't already exist. Section C states the total cost of the project of a little over $2.5 million, so a portion of which will be funded by these bonds. Section D states the estimated employment impact for the project, which will be 65 temporary construction jobs with salaries ranging from $50,000 to $150,000. And then Section E of the report finally, again, contains the determination that the project won't have an adverse competitive effect on other developments in the city. So that's a broad overview of the resolution and report, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on the bonds or the resolution or the report.
I have a couple questions, but I don't know if you're the one that answered or if Jeremy is.
Go ahead and ask, we'll figure it out.
Okay, the single-family homes, approximately what size are they?
They vary quite a bit, so because I looked at the other phases they did, and I mean, it ranges from 1,800 square feet up to over, 2,500. Ranges from value to like assessed value of like 250 all the way up to 450. So there's some variation. There'll be some variation in
The reason I asked that question is because farther in here, it talks about total project cost of approximately $2.5 million, of which the bond for the infrastructure, of course, $1 million stuff. And I'm thinking 41 houses, even low cost,
No,
That's
so
a
that's
way
not,
low number.
yeah, you're right. No, that's not the value of the houses. That's the infrastructure. So in
Oh,
addition to our
okay, it
million,
didn't
there's
say
still
that.
another $1.5 million of infrastructure that needs to be
Okay.
built. Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
that makes more sense.
Yep.
And that will be funded by.
The developer, yeah. Well, they'll probably get a loan, so, but yeah.
So does TIF district have any debt against it now?
The TIF district does not have any debt. It's generating around $350 to $370,000 to $370,000 a year. This bond issue will be around $90,000, and there's around close to $1 million in cash in the fund now. We have
Plenty of money
two
to pay
other,
the bond payments without
yes,
problem.
yes. And I say all that because we also have two other projects we're working on that we're only allowed one bond issue. So this would, in this district, we could have another one, but it would be specific to the addition that we added to the district. And we have two projects, one that is in another district that we could do another bond issue on, and then one that isn't, that would be more cash, would be cash incentive based. So So yes, plenty of funds in the account, plenty of funds being generated to cover the bond issue, moving forward.
And this Bella Augusta is addition north of the existing Bella
Yes.
Augusta addition? Okay.
Yeah. And the 41 would be phase one of that, because there's another probably 40-plus lots that would be added to it at some point in time. So this would just be roughly half of the number of lots. There's still more that would be a part of that next acreage.
Half the number?
It's about half. There's more than half left. I think it's around 90 total, or somewhere around 90 total, so.
Okay, all right.
Was
That
the two
answers my
questions? I thought you
questions.
said two.
Well, depending on the answer to the first, but he answered both questions within that answer. So,
Tony?
I got nothing else.
All right, I'm covered. We get to vote on this and then sign away?
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution 2025-0301.
So moved.
I will second that.
it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone in disagreement with that? Carries unanimously.
Okay.
So Whitney, how do you want to handle the signatures? You gonna do that at the end?
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah.
Sounds good. Public hearing on Millworks project and economic development revenue bond financing. Jeremy?
So same carbon copy of what we just did, so you open it up to the public, ask for input against or for the project. Hearing none, you would close it, and then Thomas will go through the resolution, and him and I can answer any questions you might have on it.
Now that we've opened it up to the public, is there anyone in favor of or against this motion or this proposal of the resolution? Close to the public. Open it up to Thomas.
Yeah, so you have Resolution 2025-0302. Thomas will go through the resolution. Just a little quick background, this is the old Owens property, and the AP Development Company is who we approved the project for. So they've been diligently putting the project together, seeking other funds associated with that, including ready money and funds. So they're seeking funds from Ready and ORI, which is the Orthopedic Industry Retention Initiative, the $30 million that Craig Snow got. So they are seeking funds from them as well. This is our portion of the project in the bond issue, and Thomas can explain the resolution.
So as Jeremy mentioned, that this resolution approves the financing for economic development revenue bonds to fund a portion of the Millworks project, which would be constructed by AP Development LLC and AP Millworks LLC. The bonds themselves would be purchased by the developer and would be payable solely from tax increment revenues generated by the project itself. So back in 2023, the Redevelopment Commission created a separate allocation area within the consolidated northern and central economic development area for this site. And so the only revenues of the city being pledged are these tax increment revenues from the project site itself. So no other funds or taxing authority of the city would be pledged to these bonds. The bonds would not exceed $4.5 million, would bear interest not exceeding 8%, and would have a maximum term of 25 years. If there were ever a shortfall in tax increment revenues generated by the project, there is no responsibility for the city or the Redevelopment Commission to make up that difference. That risk would just be on the developer. The city would then provide a portion of the bond proceeds to the developer to construct the project. This resolution is very similar to the resolution you just considered for the RIF loan. Section 1 approves, states that economic development of the city is a desirable public purpose. Section 2 approves the report, which we'll also discuss in a minute. Section 4 and 5 approve the issuance of the bonds of the city to finance a portion of the project. And Section 6 approves the form of a financing agreement and trust indenture to be executed at closing on the bonds. And again, the remaining sections find that the project will not have an adverse economic impact or an adverse competitive effect on similar facilities in the city, and authorizes the Economic Development Commission to execute closing documents in connection with the bond closing. So the report for this project, again, in Section A, describes the project. Section B states that no additional public works will be needed by the project which don't already exist or are planned for. Section C states the total estimated cost of the project, which is, I believe, around $20 million.
Says
Sec-
20,
Sorry,
says 20 million.
20 million, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Section D states that the total estimated employment impact for the project is 164 temporary construction jobs with a total payroll of $7.1 million. And upon completion of the project, 13 permanent jobs with an estimated payroll of $433,000. That's a broad overview of the resolution and the report. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you.
So yeah, the key takeaway with this bond is the developer is buying it. So basically, he will maximize what he pays in taxes he will get, and nothing less or nothing more. So very similar to the Medtronic bond that was done years ago. They bought the bond and they would pay taxes. We would show the taxes that were paid and then make payment back to them. So very similar in that case.
So this is in an economic development area, and then you just did that lot as the TIF allocation area?
Yes. Yeah. So the only thing payable to that is from that development.
So with this bond stuff, is that project does not get tax abatement? Is that correct?
No, yeah, it wouldn't be tax abated.
Okay.
I mean, I suppose they could, but then he just wouldn't be paying himself. I think his goal is to monetize this once the project's complete. So he will build the project, he will have the bond, it will show revenue being generated, and then he can sell that to somebody else.
Sell the bond.
Sell the bond, yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
So this money, unlike the previous one was allocated for infrastructure, this is just for the project in general, not
That's correct.
specifically for,
Undefined.
That's correct.
okay.
Yes.
The company's gonna own the bond basically and make the bond payments, the city's not gonna do that, so that works out well.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he'll pay whatever the taxes are, and then we'll issue those back to him as the payment on the bond. I think, like I said, at some point he'll try to monetize that but how he sells that will be up to him, and he'll have to show what the value of that bond is.
As long as we get the bond paid off.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we are only being obligated to pay what gets paid in taxes. Doesn't matter if he owns it or if he sells it to somebody else, but,
So we have limited liability.
So it's talking about approximately 85 apartments and related. What is the project scope or proposal right now
Yeah.
outlined?
roughly 85 apartment units and 3,000 to 3,500 square feet of commercial, which could be a coffee shop, could be a little eatery, could
Just
be
one of those
just one of
spaces?
those spaces, yes.
Is there any parking garage still?
No
part of
parking
this?
garage. There will be parking lot as part of it, but not parking garage.
Okay. Because I thought at one time there was a proposal that the county would rent some parking spots.
Yeah, we had.
That went away.
We had looked at a parking garage, but those projects they wanted way too much public money. I mean, it was $15 to $18 million on a $24 million project, and it's like, didn't make a lot of sense.
Okay. I'm just curious how it shook out.
Yeah.
That's
All
all
right.
my questions.
And close the questions?
No further.
I'm done.
All right, very good. With that, we need to approve the resolution 2025-0302.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2025-03-02.
So moved, seconded,
Second?
all set there. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries unanimously.
All right.
Other matters? Jeremy?
No other matters at this time?
Motion to adjourn?
So
Motion.
moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are in adjournment.
Thank you.
So these resolutions
Thank you.
just call for Tom's signature, right?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
and
the
the
secretary, me, right?
So, yes. You got off.
Get your pen out, Dan.
Get my pen out. I